Was there something specific?
Good morning, grandkids. Well, I thought
whatever I require will be revealed to me on its
we're
own.
going to have people
in due
talking
time.
in the background,
You
so
don't need anything then.
we'll have to make do with that, I guess.
You're trying
Since
so
we're here in the
hard to help.
library, I thought I
do
would
hope you're not disappointed.
read you something from here
Disappointed
again.
is not the word I would choose,
On the
Colette.
table beside me
Excuse me.
is, I can't put my cursor on it like this, but it's, where's the tape? Aha! The Legend of Red Eagle. I think I'll read that today. So, The Legend of Red Eagle. This tale was transcribed from the memory of Clarice Vienne, student of Winterhold. Elements of the legend suggest a date of 1E, that's the very first era, 1030, though as with any oral tradition, much of it is likely a later anachronism. Curiously, stories of a similar king and his legendary blade appear in other ancient myths of the Reach. I didn't know that. Long ago, a child was born in the Sundered Hills. They named him Phelan, which means red eagle in the tongue of the Reach, for the screeching bird call that greeted his birth, and the crimson blooms on the autumn hills. Now we know how he got his name. Screeching bird call and the crimson blooms on the hill. Thus began his legend. Reach child, born under auspicious skies, his very name the color of blood. 10 kings ruled the Reach in those days, and though men were free, the people were scattered and warred amongst themselves. The augurs foresaw the boy's destiny, a warrior without peer, first and foremost lord of the Reach, chosen to unite all under his name. Phelan grew in years and strength, and it seemed the prophecy would be fulfilled. The banner of the Red Eagle was raised along the cliffs of the Reach, and his people prospered. Then came Hestra, Empress of the South, riding to war. One by one the kings stood before her. One by one they fell aside, bending knee in imperial bargains or slaughtered on the battlefield. Her legions came at last to the Sundered Hills, and envoys were sent to bargain for their surrender. Phelan refused to yield the freedom of his people, but the elders were afraid and cast him out and accepted the imperial yoke. Thus was stolen by the foreign invaders his land, his people, his very name. In the years that followed, Red Eagle became known as the untamed spirit of the Reach, unbowed, unbroken, stained by the blood of his foes. He gathered loyal Reachmen to himself, thus those who clung to the old ways, who yearned for freedom, and forged a new nation. Together they fell upon the occupiers and the traitors by night, disappearing into the cliffs and the caves each morning, evading capture. It was not enough. For every imperial patrol and garrison they wiped out, yet more seemed to march from the green south to replace them. One night, under a cloud-choked sky, the men of the Red Eagle warmed themselves over damp fires of smoldering moss. A huddled, shambling figure came to them, cloaked in rags, face cowled. Though his men mocked and cast stones at the stranger, Phelan sensed something and beckoned. The cowl was thrown back in the dim light, and she revealed herself to be one of the ancient and venerable hag ravens. She offered a power for a price, and a pact was made. Thus was brokered to the witch his heart, his will, his humanity. From that day forth, his was a spirit of vengeance, pitiless and beyond remorse. The rebels grew in strength and numbers, and none could stand against them. Pheolan's eyes burned coldly in those days, black opals reflecting a mind not entirely his own. 2 years passed, and the foreigners were all but driven from the reach. Such peace could not last, however, and a great host fell upon them, a swift army of invaders unlike any before. For a fortnight, Hestra's generals laid siege to Redigel's stronghold, till he himself came forth for battle, alone, and robed in nothing but his righteous fury. 1,000 foreigners fell before his flaming sword, and the enemy was routed. Yet, when night fell, so too did he. The warriors who came to him said Pheolan's eyes were clear again on that final night. He was taken to the place prepared for him, a tomb hidden deep within the rock. With his remaining strength, he presented his sword to his people and swore an oath. Fight on, and when at last the reach is free, his blade should be returned, that he might rise and lead them again. Thus was given for his people his life, his dream, his sword. But when every debt is repaid in blood, these he shall claim once more. That's so cool. And I remember years ago, when I was much younger than I am now, I did a quest that found where he was buried, and I reclaimed that sword. And it was a fiery sword, and I loved that sword. I don't know what happened to it, but I don't think I still have it at home. But that was fun. That was a great story. He was a mighty, mighty man. All right, grandkids, that's going to be it for today. Maybe I'll browse around a little longer in here and see if I can find something else. Otherwise, we'll probably be back at the house. So I will see you all later, grandkids. Bye-bye.